In this video, I'm going to look at solving problems involving the Pythagorean theorem. The rectangular frame of a gate is 3 meters by 5 meters. Find to the nearest centimeter the length of the diagonal support across the frame. So the first thing that we need to do is to represent this information in a diagram, which means we need to sketch it. Now the measurements are 5 meters by 3 meters. And then we have the diagonal support, which is across the frame. Now, what we need, or what the question is asking us to find, is the length of the diagonal support. So what you can say is, let the length of the diagonal support be x, or let x be the length So suppose this length is x, and of course this is a rectangle, so which means that each of these angles is 90 degrees. And we can use the Pythagorean theorem to try and find x, because this triangle is a right angle triangle, which means that x squared, so x squared should be equal to 3 squared plus 5 squared. That will be 9 plus 25, which will be 34. Therefore, x will be the square root of 34, which is equal to 5.83 meters. But they want us to find the answer to the nearest centimeter, which will be equal to 583 centimeters. Okay, so remember the first step is draw a diagram and then use the information that you're given to find what you're supposed to find. Number 2, a rhombus has diagonals 6 centimeters and 10 centimeters. Now remember, these are diagonals and it's a rhombus, and they're asking us to find the length of one side. So what we need to do here is we need to sketch this diagram, and we know that for rhombus all sides are equal, so it will be something like this here. Now, one thing with the diagonals of a rhombus is they bisect each other at 90 degrees, which means if I draw these diagonals, they bisect each other at 90 degrees. And like I said previously, each of the sides of a rhombus are equal. So because they're asking us to find the length of one side of a rhombus, we can let that to be x. So let x be the length of each side. Let x be the length of each side. So suppose this length here is x, and we're given that the diagonals are 6 and 10, which means that the shorter one will be 6, so that will be 3 and 3, and the longer one will be 10, which means that will be 5 and 5. And if I just focus on this triangle here, such that this angle is 90 degrees, I can be able to use Pythagorean relationship to try and find what x is. So given that x is the longer side here, I'll go ahead and say that x squared is equal to 3 squared plus 5 squared, So x squared will be equal to 9 plus 25. X squared will be equal to 34. And x will be the square root of 34, which will be 5.83. Number 3, an 8-meter long ladder has its feet placed 3 meters out from a vertical wall. How far up the wall will the ladder reach to the nearest centimeter? So again, like we did before, it might be important if we can sketch this information. So if this is the wall and this is the ground, and we have our ladder placed against the wall, try to make that more straight, and then of course the wall and the ground should be perpendicular. The ladder has its feet placed 3 meters out from the wall, so that will be 3. It's 8 meters long. Now, how far up the wall will the ladder reach the nearest? So suppose the height is x. We can use Pythagorean relationship to find the missing length of this right angle triangle. So because x is the shorter side, remember what we said previously is when you're finding the shorter side, you subtract. So x squared will be 8 squared minus 3 squared. And x will be the square root of 55, which will be equal to 7.42 meters, which is 742 centimeters. Next question. A car travels 9 kilometers due north and then 12 kilometers due west. How fast is the car from its starting point? Now, you have to remember your compass bearings. Compass bearings. So, the compass bearings go this way. So you have north, you have actually you have north, south, east, west. Now, that's just to remind you the idea of compass bearings, because you are going to apply that here. Now, in our case here, we have a car which starts at some point. So suppose it starts here, starting point, and then it goes, it travels 9 kilometers due north. So 9 kilometers, and then 12 kilometers due west. So 12 kilometers, that will be 90 degrees. How fast is the car from its starting point? So which means that these guys are asking us to find that distance there. And suppose this distance is x, we can use Pythagorean relationship to try and find the missing side. So because it's a longer side, we'll have x squared is equal to 12 squared plus 9 squared. So x squared will be 144 plus 81, that will be 225. So x will be the square root of 225 which will be 15, and it's 15 kilometers.